Welcome to Power, Policy, and Progress, the podcast where politics, policies, and the stories shaping our future take center stage. I'm Madison Maynard, and today we are recording the second episode of our political ad reaction series. And joining me today are two very special guests, newcomers to this podcast, my mom, Charlene, and my auntie, Erika. I'm so grateful to have you both on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. So throughout this episode, we will examine the messaging of several high-profile Democrats, beginning with Obama's breakout in 2008, and we'll also revisit the media strategies of Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and then we're going to end with Kamala Harris's historic 2024 launch. So to kick things off, I want to ask a question. How much weight do these televised ads carry when you're deciding on a candidate, particularly during the primary season? Mom?
So I think that watching the ads really does create, especially at the beginning of the season, sets the tone for the candidate. I think that if people come out with ads that are positive and really focus on their agenda, I view them differently than if there's attack ads or saying negative things about the opposite party, and it just creates a whole tone for their candidacy for me.
So you care more about policy and not necessarily just attacking the opponent.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that as well. But I am a researcher, so I don't put all of my stakes in ads because I just don't. So I enjoy some of the ads, but I'm always researching, making sure that I'm making the best decision regardless of what the ads may or may not say.
I think that's what all voters should do. Obviously, the ads give a preview of the candidates, but it's also important to do your additional research, also to watch presidential debates. Primary debates is incredibly important to have a well-rounded view of a candidate and not necessarily just a 30-second or 1-minute ad, but also does set the pace for the candidacy, in my opinion, the ads, especially early on in the candidacy. So we are reacting to, all the ads that we are reacting to today are ads from very early on in the candidacy, either it's their first ad or ad very early on in the primary season. So we have a lot of ads to get through, so let's press play and dive right into it, starting with Meet Barack Obama, his first ad of 2008.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a Black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
He's the first person in a long time that's really offered something different, that's really seems to be speaking from his heart.
It gives you a sense of hope in at times when, things in this country are not going that well.
My father was from Kenya, from Africa. That Barack means one who's blessed by God in Swahili. My mother was from Kansas, which is where I got my accent from. And I originally came to Chicago to work on behalf of communities that needed help rebuilding after the devastation of steel plants that had closed on the far south side of Chicago. But the best education I received was working with people in the community on a grassroots basis, because what it taught me was that ordinary people, when they are working together, can do extraordinary things.
I realized that there was only so much that we could do on a local level on some of the issues that we were working on. So I went back to law school, went to Harvard Law School.
But I knew that I wanted to re-engage in community when I got back. And so rather than take the path of corporate law or some administration job in Washington, I came back, ran a voter registration project, Project Vote. We registered 150,000 new voters. I started a civil rights practice working on voting rights cases. I started teaching at the University of Chicago, teaching constitutional law.
The biggest blessing of my life is my family. I've got a wonderful wife, Michelle. We've been blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, and we're active in our church, Trinity United Church of Christ. My family life, I think, is most important to me, and it's the main thing I do when I'm not working in my political life.
Just want to stand in strong support of this bill and working for a number of organizations throughout the state that are trying to deal with this homelessness issue. I think this is an example.
One of the things I'm very proud of is the fact that I've been able to get things done, whether I'm in the minority party or in the majority party. And we've been able to build bipartisan coalitions around a lot of these issues.
I stand here today to answer that call and affirm that I will be a candidate for the United States Senate in 2004.
Barack Obama cruising all night to the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate. This victory also amazing because Barack Obama was outspent by a margin of 6-1.
16 months later, we are here, and Democrats from all across Illinois, suburb, city, downstate, upstate, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, have declared, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. The pundits like to slice and dice our country into red states and blue states. Red states for Republicans, blue states for Democrats. But I've got news for them too. We worship an awesome God in the blue states, and we don't like federal agents poking around in our libraries in the red states. We coach Little League in the blue states, and yes, we've got some gay friends in the red states. There are patriots who opposed the war in Iraq, and there are patriots who supported the war in Iraq. We are one people, all of us pledging allegiance to the Stars and Stripes, all of us defending the United States of America.
I totally agree. Wow.
Wasn't that powerful? So, Auntie, I want to ask you first, what are your overall thoughts about this?
My overall thoughts, as soon as I saw that, for one, I was like, oh gosh, he was so young, still handsome, but young. But what stood out for me was just the diversity and inclusion of his entire campaign. This ad. That is what, I mean, in today now, how so divided we are. The way he just drew everyone, like he said, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, we are all one. And, we do love the United States of America. And it just showed that he wanted everyone to realize that it's not just you against me. We are all in this together. So I really love that about that. I totally forgot about this ad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
me too.
you?
I totally agree. What made his campaign so powerful, and just his time as being president, what made it so powerful and so impactful and so life-changing for many of us who have gone through several administrations was just, as Erika said, the inclusivity of his whole campaign, of his messaging. You know, he brought in everyone, all different aspects of this country, and made everyone feel like they were part of and important to his campaign. And he did not promote one agenda over another. He made sure that everyone felt like they would have a say or will be heard by his administration. And that I had never heard prior, and I haven't heard since. And I think that, you know, that is why he had so many, like the country was so, you know, in unison and supporting him, because everyone felt like they were going to be part of this administration and that their needs would be handled by him. So this was incredible. And from him going from different, he was in the farmland, he was in the you know, the lower economic areas, he spoke in schools and with the military. He tapped into all different aspects of this country and the American life. And I think that's what was so powerful about this campaign ad. It was beautiful. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it.
I felt like there was an excitement in it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I think we were so used to the same old, you know, here we go again with the same type of people, you know, and this was just so, I felt it was just so exciting. It was something new, and something new can be, you know, challenging and afraid. But with this, it was just the excitement of what could be possible overweighed the, you know, well, you know, let's just keep it the way it is. So, I loved it.
And just going through the ad, I mean, he really introduced himself to America, which is something that is really important. I think that with campaign ads now, I think that's lacking, because I think with social media, maybe people assume, oh, we're like, you know who I am. No, I don't necessarily know who you are in your entire story. So I think that he literally went from the beginning that his parents got a divorce when he was 2 years old. He lived in Indonesia when his mom remarried. He came back to the United States with his grandparents. He, through scholarships, worked his way through higher education. He also had an entire section about his family, the former First Lady Michelle Obama, his 2 daughters. And then, so you get the person, but then you also get the policy, and you see everything that he's done in his career. And you really saw the first major position that he held in elected office was in 1996. And he ran for Senate just a few years after that, 2004, and then ran for president just 10 years later, or like that's insane. Like he ran for president in 2007, and like just that's 10 years. Like that's actually insane. Everything that he laid out and everything that he accomplished in 10 years, no wonder that he felt ready to run for president when he did. I'm sure a lot of people were like, what? Like he just became senator just a few years ago, but he laid out everything that he's accomplished on a state and local level, and in the United States Senate, what he has accomplished on a national level as a part of Congress. So I think that it was beautifully done, just laying out who he is on a personal level and everything that he has accomplished in such a short amount of time. And like you said, the energy, I really thought about this. If you saw my last episode about reacting to political ads, this also reminded me of Abdul El-Shayed's ad, which I think he did a good job introducing himself to the public. But this also reminded me of John Ossif's ad that we reacted to, which had, him at a rally. And I guess, I'm not sure where exactly the clip was from. Maybe it was the DNC convention in 2004, maybe. I'm not exactly sure what the rally was, but it had Obama 2004. So I'm not exactly sure where that's from, but I love, and I said this in the last episode, I love campaign ads that show politicians in their element at a rally. And you see the different demographics in the audience, from old to young, different racial groups, and they are energized, they are excited. And I think that, as like the backdrop as well, really like hyped you up when you're watching the ad.
Can I also say,
yeah,
I also think that it was important for him to go all the way back to his birth, because at the time, his citizenship and different things about his person was being challenged and questioned.
Yeah.
So it was very good for him to start, because he was killing like two birds in one stone, because he was pointing out what his agenda is and what he stood for, but it also gave you that background. And I think that was great strategy to sandwich that into the message, because people were, claiming that he was born here, there, and everywhere. So this laid out his life. So it can be any more questions about his citizenship.
That's a really good point that I didn't even think about. And I think that also, being a prominent Black politician, he probably felt it was important to give his background, to give his story, because a lot of people want to downplay Black politicians and, where they came from and who they are, and then also what they've accomplished to get to where they are, So I think that it was very smart for him to lay out his entire life story. And I think that this also, before we go to the next ad, you could tell this was a longer ad, which I think was really necessary for an introduction, because what we see now is that ads, majority of the time, are, if it's an introduction ad, is normally like 1 minute or 2 minutes. This was 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So you truly get an in-depth look at who he is. And I think that from what the other videos we're watching, none of them are nearly as long as this one. And even we're about to react to Hillary Clinton's campaign ad, and it is not nearly as long, maybe because she assumed, oh, I was first lady, I was senator of New York, you should know who I am. So it doesn't really give as clear of a introduction. But any final words before we go on to react to Hillary's very first campaign ad from the 2008 election cycle?
No, I think that it was an excellent ad. I think that it would be nice to have longer ads with more details, because I think that what happens now is that politicians just have these talking points, and they're these dog whistles and different things just incite emotion, but it's not content driven. And so we don't know what exactly you stand for, but we just know that you don't like this, or you don't like this person. And it doesn't really give you any information. So what exactly are you going to do for me and for my family and for this country? So this we need more long ads. Give me more, so I can find out more about you, and not just the sensationalized version of politics that we're living in, in the world we're living in today.
I wholeheartedly agree. So now we are going to react to Hillary Clinton's. This is a very early primary ad. I couldn't exactly find if this was her first ad or not, but I know that this was a very early primary ad for Hillary Clinton in 2008. So let's watch.
As I travel around America, I hear from so many people who feel like they're just invisible to their government.
Hillary Clinton has spent her life standing up for people others don't see.
If you're a family that is struggling and you don't have health care, well, you are invisible to this president. If you're a single mom trying to find affordable child care so you can go to work, well, you're invisible too. And I never thought I would see that our soldiers who serve in Iraq and Afghanistan would be treated as though they were invisible as well. Americans from all walks of life across our country may be invisible to this president, but they're not invisible to me, and they won't be invisible to the next president of the United States. I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
So So that is Hillary Clinton's ad. Mom, do you have any reactions?
Well, it was very different from the prior ad. And the first thing I thought about is, I just discussed how the attacking of the other candidate and talking about other people and what they stand for instead of just sticking to yourself.
Right.
It immediately turned negative, even though it had the nice music and the relaxing music in the background, and she's shaking hands and looking at babies, but it still had a very negative undertone. And I don't know if I'm very sensitive to it now because of the current political environment, that it just is like, fingernails on a chalkboard to me when people start going down a negative road or saying things, that person is doing this. It just, it turned my stomach immediately. And it probably didn't at the time. Probably did not. But it's just, I'm a different person after everything that has happened since President Barack Obama.
Exactly.
I'm just a different person, and things hit differently now.
Exactly. What about you?
Now, I agree. I felt like the first or the second sentence, it was ready to attack, right? Now, is this Iowa?
So this was probably in preparation for the Iowa primary caucus.
Because another thing, I didn't see not one Black person in there.
Yeah.
Let me put my glasses on. Not one. So I didn't see any type of
representation,
diversity, inclusion, any of that. So
I'm not seeing any either.
I did not.
I'm not seeing any. This kid look a little brown.
Well, she looks a little brown. Yeah. But you know what? I agree. And you know what else I thought about is that she did not include. It seemed like it was a lot of farm and maybe
that's what I'm saying. Is that
low, like it was not a very diverse.
No,
it wasn't
group of
and
people.
although she may have been, but this will be that was broadcast all over the world, right? So I mean, just because you don't live in Iowa, the message is still for everyone. And so the first thing I thought was, like I say, the first and second sentence was pretty much attack. And then again, at this point in my life, I'm looking for the diversity.
Yeah, the diversity for sure.
You've changed too.
I have changed.
We're different people.
Yeah. And I love Hillary. I love her.
And
I love her. I do. But
very qualified candidate.
Very qualified.
She really deserved to have gone further than she did in her political career.
For sure.
And that, like I've said, I don't believe that the world is ready for a female president. Well, not this country. I'm sorry, the United States.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of countries with female leaders. But for some reason we're just not ready. She was ahead of her time.
For sure. And my thoughts on this, I agree. I think I didn't like the "you're invisible" message. Yeah. I just don't. It didn't resonate with me. It didn't connect with me. Obviously, when it comes to campaign ads, a lot of times they use a word and they kind of stick with it throughout. And invisible is not really a word I feel inspired or like. I feel like heard or seen, because I don't feel invisible, even though as a Black woman, like, there's obviously hurdles, but I don't want to be told you're invisible. Vote for me, you won't be invisible anymore. I need more than that, and I don't necessarily.
And how? What's your strategy?
And especially with her resume prior to this, as First Lady and as Senator of New York for, I think she won in 2001, so she had been in the Senate for longer than technically Barack Obama had, but where is any of that in this, right? I think that in theory, this does a lot of good, really showing her as an everyday woman, shaking hands, going to like the, farms and, the diversity of the age range, and showing the babies and then the older people, then, her hugging, someone like with the kid in the, in the arm, it does the right things.
Shaking hands and kissing baby.
It does the right things in theory. Actually, I don't know if there's diversity in age. I see a lot of older people on the side. But anyways, there's some younger people. But you get what I'm saying. It does the right things in theory, but it does disturb me, the lack of diversity. It does disturb me. I don't love that. I think that I am assuming this was geared towards the Iowa caucus.
Right.
And in this election cycle, I guess the Iowa caucus was pretty early on. Yeah. So she was gearing towards Iowa because obviously, especially the Iowa caucus, it's still a very, very, very important caucus to win. It helps you really progress in the...
It sets the momentum of your campaign.
It sets the momentum if you win Iowa. So maybe that was her idea. Like, let me film this in Iowa. Let me go to Iowa communities. And honestly, I don't know a lot of Black people in Iowa. I don't want to be that person, but I don't. However, still, but still, you couldn't find one Black neighborhood in Iowa to go to. There are Black people in Iowa for sure. But
one Black event.
You could there are Black neighborhoods, there are Black owned businesses, there are Black people in Iowa. So there's not an excuse for me. Oh, it's Iowa. I mean, it's not gonna be like New York where you can just find more Black people, but you should seek it, or brown.
Like, just a minority. Can we have some Asians?
But just seek it. Just seek it out. I am not entirely sure the number one minority population in Iowa, but even go to that community. If it's the Hispanic community, Asian community, Caribbean community, I don't know anything. So Indian communities, like something. So that should have been sought after more, and the campaign should have actually said, you know what, let's go to these neighborhoods and let's film there, and not just film there, but obviously do the rallies in those neighborhoods too, because you see these older white people in the rally. And like I said, I like having rallies in campaign ads. But even the rally in this campaign out, because they're older, it doesn't even feel that energetic, like as the Obama one. Like they're just kind of there, like in the background. Like it doesn't even, like they have this one where they're applauding, but like I don't even feel the energy like the Obama rally. I felt the energy. I felt the passion.
Absolutely, but I think that his ad was just done better. It was just better done, and I think that one of the reasons why is because, like we said, we connected with him as an individual initially.
Yeah.
So, and I like you also said that maybe she feels that most people kind of know her track record. We know we all were very familiar with who Hillary was, but we are. But see, that's an assumption. That's a very like elitist assumption.
Yes.
Because you need everybody to go out and vote, which means that you need to resonate with people who may not have been priorly engaged politically. So you need to handle those people too, and set out your platform and connect with them as well. So if she didn't do that at all, it was like she was talking to the people that was already for her. You need to speak, and reaching across the aisle and pulling people in that are not necessarily people that would default to your campaign or to your leadership is how you win elections.
It's true.
Especially now. I hope people understand that now in this polarizing political environment. Reaching across the aisle is how you're going to win. And, even if it's in a bad way, because we see what has happened more recently is that, racism and other things like that has been how people they reached across the aisle to those people and pulled them in. And that's how they win. So it goes both ways.
It does. So it's going to be interesting because actually right now, unless you don't have any other comments about this, we're going to react to her 2016 presidential election. This is for sure her launch ad. I really don't know. This probably isn't her launch ad, but I couldn't find it on YouTube. But this is for sure her launch ad for 2016. So we're going to compare the two. It's going to be interesting. So
I'm excited.
Yeah, let's go.
Excited.
I'm getting ready for a lot of things. A lot of things.
It's spring, so we're starting to get the gardens ready, and my tomatoes are legendary here in my own neighborhood.
My daughter is about to start kindergarten next year, and so we're moving just so she can belong to a better school.
Mi hermano y yo estamos empezando un primer negocio.
After 5 years of raising my children, I am now going back to work.
Every day we're trying to get more ready and more prepared.
The baby boy coming your way.
Right now I'm applying for jobs. It's a look into what the real world will look like after college.
I'm getting married this summer to someone I really care about.
I'm gonna be in the play and I'm gonna be in a fish costume. For little tiny fishes.
I'm getting ready to retire soon. Retirement means reinventing yourself in many ways.
Well, we've been doing a lot of home renovations.
But most importantly, we really just want to teach our dog to quit eating the trash.
And so we have high hopes for 2015 that that's going to happen.
I've started a new career recently. This is a 5th generation company, which means a lot to me. This country was founded on hard work, and it really feels good to be a part of that.
I'm getting ready to do something too. I'm running for president. Americans have fought their way back from tough economic times, but the deck is still stacked in favor of those at the top. Everyday Americans need a champion, and I want to be that champion. So you can do more than just get by. You can get ahead and stay ahead, because when families are strong, America is strong. So I'm hitting the road to earn your vote, because it's your time. And I hope you'll join me on this journey.
So FYI, so you're gonna hear dogs barking, just so you know. There's 2 dogs and you're gonna hear them barking, but it's okay. We're a community here. We have our dogs. We're not gonna exclude them from the reactions either. All right, so what are your thoughts? Who wants to go first? You want to go first? What are your thoughts on this ad?
Go ahead.
I didn't like it.
Oh.
Tell them what you really think.
I didn't. I don't know. It was so. I did not like it at all.
I think that it was very predictable. I think they strategically selected different minority groups to appear to have concern for these different areas. It did not feel authentic.
Yes,
that's what it was. It did not feel authentic. It was very contrived. Like I feel like it was
interesting,
not real.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And where was she until the end?
Until the end, yeah.
Like, why aren't you sitting with the lesbian group or the gay couple? Why aren't you with the pregnant, minority family?
Right.
It would have felt different if she would have been engaged in those different settings. But instead, it was like they cherry picked different settings and then put her and just plopped her in at the end. And it didn't feel, it was inauthentic for me.
Yeah. Yes. I felt the same way. I don't even know what they were talking about, but like like the whole thing, like I was waiting for her. Like you said, I was waiting for her to come out. And honestly, when she finally did come out and say, and I'm doing this, my mind was like, girl.
And you know what? And let me just say this.
Right. Girl.
But let me say this. That cost this inauthentic, very elitist perception that she gave, this very arm's length perception that she gave during this campaign is how she lost the election. Like the things that she thought will resonate.
It just wasn't.
What just wasn't. And she was not connecting with the voters.
She wasn't.
You know, you could say all the right things, but if there's no emotion or feeling behind it, if people don't think that you really do believe what you're saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, it was almost as if this campaign, and this was a perfect ad to start off a very strange campaign for me, because I felt like they should have known better.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have known better.
Who was her team?
Something was amiss. It was not. I don't know what happened. They just went down a very dark road and they never came out of the dark. Like it just never, it did, because I feel like she was not, people just could not relate or connect to her. Yeah. And it was something like this. How do you plop her at the end of the ad?
The very end.
Like, how does that happen?
So this is what I think they were trying to do. I think they were trying to have it more community centered and not politician centered. I think they were trying to have a community centered, so that is why they went to different households, and they're like, I'm getting ready to start my new job, and I'm working again after having my baby, and I'm marrying the love of my life, another man, and I'm a man, or, you know, we're starting our family and holding the pregnant wife, you know. I think they were trying to make it community centered over politician centered, and that can work for depending on how, I think it could work. I think that approach can work, but I agree that this ad specifically didn't necessarily work, because if anything, I was getting a tad bored. Like, I obviously want to like hear people's stories, but like, okay, like I don't really know what happened. I don't know who the people are, so I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, if anything, it would have been more interesting if you saw Hillary with those families, and then you saw that she's going to these different communities. So it's still telling the community stories, but you still have the politician in the mix. So at least you're like watching the ad, like, okay, like we know what this is. This is for Hillary, who is announcing that she's running for president. So I think that the point was for it to be community centered, which I think could work. And I'm sure that there are better examples of community centered ads and not necessarily politician centered ads, or issue based ads, like an issue based ad and not necessarily politician based, if that makes sense. But this just wasn't really doing it for me either. I don't think it was horrible, but I just think that it just wasn't that interesting. Yeah. My problem, it wasn't that interesting. That was my thing. Like, I'm not gonna say, oh, this was just bad for me. It just wasn't as interesting. It wasn't as engaging. I think that if you have it on the TV, would change the station. Like, it just wasn't very interesting to me, and that was the main issue I had. But I think the point was to show that she has a diverse coalition that she wants to represent as president, and that's why they showed the, you know, young families, Latino workers, the LGBTQ couples, those who work in like a factory. Like, the point of showing all of that is to show Hillary Clinton is representing all Americans. And maybe because of the backlash she got in 2008 for the lack of diversity, maybe she went this direction because maybe there were many more ads from 2008 that just didn't have the diversity. So she made a clear, conscious effort in showing the diversity in her ad. But still, I think she should have been centered more in it. I think that it just wasn't very interesting. I think it was a little boring. I think, like I said, if someone's just watching TV, they're probably just going to be on their phone. Like, they're not really going to be paying attention. So that's my overall opinion about that. Any last thoughts?
Yes. A couple things.
Yeah.
Okay. So you show me different people in our country, but how does her policy?
It's not, the point of this isn't a policy. Clearly, this isn't a policy.
At least say, Madison, I'm here to represent these people. She just said, I'm doing something new too.
I know, yeah.
I
That
mean,
was a very corny line
I
too.
didn't understand.
Very corny.
I didn't
Yeah.
understand. Like, at least
Very
say,
corny.
at least bring the relatability.
I understand.
I understand being a new family, or I understand
I thought you were about to
starting
say
a business, or
I don't know if she
something.
understands some of these things.
But at least but see, people want to think that you do.
for sure.
They want to think that they're the person that's representing them
For sure.
actually understands
for sure
different. I mean, we know that she hasn't lived most of these. I mean, nobody has lived all the lives of all the people that they're going to represent, of course. But what did it have to do? I don't understand. I too am doing a new thing. What does that have to do with anything?
The
Like,
line
what are
was
you
very
doing?
corny. I'm too doing something.
It
You
was
could have
just
said at the end, and I am here to represent all of
the
you.
new people.
Da, da, da,
Yes.
da, da, da,
I
da.
understand
And-
the diversity of this country, and I'm here to represent people from every aspect.
And give like even like a 30-second, just like,
what is she talking
and
about?
I want to lower taxes. I want
Something,
it could have been like 30 seconds after telling the stories. It could have been 30 seconds of kind of giving like key platform points at the end just to wrap it up. But clearly the point of this ad was to just announce that she was running for president, not like anything relating to policy. That
Well,
clearly
she could've
clearly
just
was
said
the
that. She could have kept. She could have skipped all the beginning.
It
'Cause
just
none of
could've
that
said
didn't
that.
even.
Yeah.
It could have. She could have saved tons of money. Yeah, she
I
could have
do-
saved.
I
She
agree.
could have just said, "I'm Hillary Clinton and I'm running for president," and that could have been the whole.
I think
ad.
it would, I mean, if, like I say, it was more of just an announcement saying
Yeah,
I will
but it
be
was
running.
just- I
And,
didn't like
you know, it's more, so maybe it would have been better if with each person, I'm about to do this. Well, congratulations. And do you know that while doing this, you're a
Something.
small business, I would be helping with that.
Right.
Then go to the
Right.
next
Something
one.
just
Me and
related
my husband
to
are
what-
about to have a child and we're moving into a new house. Well,
I'm gonna-
congratulations.
Yes,
Do
yes.
you know that home ownership and
And my goal is to make affordable housing.
So she
Right.
should have been in
Something,
little
something.
spiels with
I agree.
each one with the
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah, yeah.
And then say, because I'm running for blah blah blah. But
Right.
for it to be so it was just a disconnect. It
I
was
understand.
them and then
then
her.
It was a little boring too.
And then-
I don't know.
it
Did
was-
y'all
it
think
was
it was just a
boring.
little
It was
boring? Like, and I
boring.
think that it would have been more interesting with what you both said. I think that there should have been more policy within it,
Yeah.
and I think that she should have been in it more. But it just kind of was like, okay.
Or
like,
even
it
she
wasn't
could have
that
even put
interesting.
her track record, not even what she's plans to do,
What she
but
has
what she
done.
has done.
Yes.
I think that would have
Yes.
been that would have
What
been a great
she has
strategy.
done.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, I have
Right.
I backed a bill that gave tax credits
Yes.
to new families.
Yes.
something.
Exactly.
Something
I
like
don't know
that.
what
Right.
that was. It was
Right.
it just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I understand. Well, that's all with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Who still, after all that, should have been president, but whatever.
Yeah, she
I mean,
sure
like I
should
said,
have.
I said it in the beginning. I like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I do.
Mhm.
I have always
Yeah.
liked
Me
her,
too.
So now we're gonna react to Bernard Sanders. His ad.
Not Bernard, right? Bernard.
So yes, now we're reacting to Mr. Bernard, and
And this starts off like this is a Bernie Sanders. I don't know what about it. Just it reads Bernard. It reads Bernard.
it reads
Bernard.
it rings a man named Bernard,
It does.
an old white man from
Yes.
Vermont.
Yes. Doesn't it? Windmills. Let's go.
All right, ready? All right, let's watch.
Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag. Counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, they've all come to look for America. All come to look for America. All come to look
I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message.
What?
Bro,
I love that ad. It made the inside of my body happy.
That ad?
It did. I don't know why. I mean, I definitely am not, a Democratic socialist at any means, and I could never vote for him. But we'll never say never. But but I felt like just the music. You see, I was swaying to the music.
Okay, the music.
Energy, but it didn't tell me anything about his policy at all. I don't know anything.
Why are you only saying this had no diversity either? This was a white freaking ad. A white one.
I know. I saw an Indian lady.
One Indian lady. One Indian lady.
But doesn't that track though?
But
that tracks.
So,
that tracks.
Hillary's ad had more diversity.
Oh, we didn't say that.
And this ad was a very white ad.
It was very
very
white.
But
you know what? I'm sorry, but when I think of Bernie, his supporters, they look like the people in the ad. Like I don't know, and I may be. Well, that is a problem. That's why he never
advance
further than where he went. It is a problem because you do have to somehow resonate with other people in this country, and I think that he has a very strong supporting the people who love him, but the people who don't and have no connection to his campaign or his policies. But I was dancing.
I have one thing I want to say before I go to you. This was basically Hillary's ad from 2008, just with better music.
Thank you.
Just with better music.
He's just an old man.
It was.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just reminds me of just, old people getting together. You know what I'm saying? That's what.
Who worried about their Medicare?
That's
it is worried about their Medicare, and I get it because I want to. If God let me live, I'm gonna want some Medicare too. So I'm worried about the Medicare too.
But it didn't get me going like, oh yes.
No, not for him as a candidate, but it just made me say, oh, people really love him. Too bad.
People really do love him, and that is why he made it as far as he did both times, even with his policies. But still, y'all, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think people like he's like that old nice grandpa. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh yeah.
Give you some candy out of his pocket.
Yeah,
and $1.
Yeah,
a quarter, not even $1. A quarter.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to the people who support him, I think that this app will probably excite them. It was probably it will be exciting for them, and it's not just me. There's a lot of people who look how excited they are.
They definitely are.
That's how they are.
They definitely are.
Remember the convention, the Democratic convention.
Yeah.
How the people, and when he did not win a nomination,
they were
never
distraught.
Seen people react.
They were very
the
distraught.
way they reacted. It was like
they were very distraught.
Like they had just heard there was a terrible crash and all their family was on the plane.
Yeah.
Like it was just crazy. They were bawling and falling out.
They were falling out. And one thing I will 110% say is what this ad did a good job at is the rallies, like the rally images and showing his rallies and showing the hype, showing the excitement, showing the people, woo, we're gonna, we're high-fiving each other. It was very good at bringing excitement, but I still was like looking, I was just like, hello, like I'm sorry, I don't relate to any of this right here. I don't relate to any of this. I don't relate to I don't.
So you don't dance in the streets in your.
This gives like Cornfest vibes. Right. This scene, I just
or a sundown place where we can't be at night.
Right.
It does.
But it's still even in a scene like this. Right, even in a scene like this, it was still happy. Like even though I was like, I can't relate to this.
Oh
where did it go? I don't know where the scene went. Oh, right here. It still gave happy, like the couple, they're dancing or whatever. So it still gave happy. So I will give credit where credit is due. The people that were behind this ad did a good job of showing his base, which is this.
Yes.
They did a good job of showing the excitement of the base. They did a good job of really demonstrating the impact that he's had on different communities. And like
Maybe
this,
not
that
their
we love,
community,
not maybe not our community, but communities across the nation. And Bernie, I mean, let's not forget Bernie in 2016, especially. He won a few of the primaries in 2016. He came very close to winning the nomination. He really did come close. So, you can't come that close to the nomination and then you just didn't resonate with anybody.
No.
So he definitely did, but I still this is the issue I have with Bernie's campaign. I just felt like it just is not relating to me. I just don't feel.
Well, can I also say, I think that this ad, if I were not familiar with the candidates, which, again, I think that we would be ignorant to think that a lot of people in this country have no concept. They have no clue. They have not researched or paid attention. They don't watch television shows that have ads.
Yeah.
People are not going to the to the ABC, NBC, CBS.
Right.
Some of them have Netflix and that's it, or whatever, and they don't see any of this. So I think that, but if someone ran into this ad who did not have any information about the candidate, they may say, well, why are they so excited?
Why are they so
about
excited?
him? Why?
They're
They're very excited about him. Maybe I should look into who this is. Or if they show up at the poll and have no idea who either of the candidates are, they'll say, oh, but that Bernie Sanders. Because people do that. They
and this scene right here,
don't have a clue.
And the scene right here, you can see just Bernie. You see the signs. You see his name. You see his name a lot in the ad, and that's also on purpose. You see his ad a lot, and you see his name. You see that, even with the "We Love Bernie," right? Like that scene right there. They're trying to ingrain the name Bernie in your head. They're trying to ingrain his face because he also is throughout the ad, not in every single scene, but he is throughout. He
did a great job of that.
He did a great job. Him and I think that's his wife right there. They're walking through, so I think that they did a good. I think that this was, I just wish that it was more Black people specifically. I should say, because I am seeing some people of color, but I just wish it was a little bit more Black.
Yeah, but I think they did a great job of getting his name, implanting his name into whomever views this into their mind. So if they could either research him themselves, or if they just go into the voting booth and they don't have a candidate that could be the one, because that's the name that's stuck. Because like you said, it was through the entire ad, not just plastered at the end.
Yeah. Do you have any final comments?
She didn't like it.
Hey, Barney.
So now we are going to react to Joe Biden's initial campaign ad when he ran for president in 2020.
Charlottesville, Virginia is home to the author of one of the great documents in human history. We know it by heart. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. We've heard it so often, it's almost a cliche, but it's who we are. We haven't always lived up to these ideals. Jefferson himself didn't, but we have never before walked away from them. Charlottesville is also home to a defining moment for this nation in the last few years. It was there on August of 2017 we saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open. Their crazed faces, illuminated by torches, veins bulging and bearing the fangs of racism, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. And they were met by a courageous group of Americans. And a violent clash ensued. And a brave young woman lost her life. And that's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. Very fine people on both sides? With those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. And in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime. I wrote at the time that we're in the battle for the soul of this nation. Well, that's even more true today. We are in the battle for the soul of this nation. I believe history will look back on 4 years of this president and all he embraces as an aberrant moment in time. But if we give Donald Trump 8 years in the White House, he will forever and fundamentally alter the character of this nation, who we are. And I cannot stand by and watch that happen. The core values of this nation, our standing in the world, our very democracy, everything that has made America America is at stake. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States. Folks, America's an idea that's stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It gives hope to the most desperate people on earth. It guarantees that everyone is treated with dignity and gives hate no safe harbor. It instills in every person in this country the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve if you work at it. That's what we believe. And above all else, that's what's at stake in this election. We can't forget what happened in Charlottesville. Even more important, we have to remember who we are. This is America.
Wow. All right. What are your thoughts,
That was
guys?
different, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very different.
What were your thoughts, Auntie?
Oh,
Any
gosh.
positive, negative reactions?
No negative, honestly. I mean, I've always felt that Joe Biden has always been, to me, straightforward in his speeches. You know, I love that. Look, listen here, guys.
Right.
You know, when he speaks, I do pay attention. But yeah, I mean, everything that he said was true. The visuals went exactly with what he was saying. I don't think that anything was below the belt or, you know, everything was just the facts.
It's the facts.
I mean,
it was the facts.
It was the facts. I mean, you may not have liked the facts, but it was facts. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. What about you?
I had so many emotions watching that video. I think, you know, it brought me back to when that happened.
Right.
And how scary that was for me because it had been so many years since I felt like this country was in that place. Yeah. You know, in my lifetime, I've seen how the climate of this country has just changed so much. And then it made me sad because I was looking at him and how much I admired that person.
The mental and physical decline.
Yes, and how much I appreciated that he did come back to run for president at that time, because even though we're having 2 terms of this president, I think that 2 terms together would have been even more destructive than these 2 terms with the break in between. But that gave me, I mean, that was a fantastic ad. Like I mean, the people who stood on the right side of just history on this. I mean, you can't watch this and not become emotional to me. Like, you know, all of it, like him, the Charlottesville situation, the lack of empathy of the Americans who sided or were indifferent to the whole thing, just all of it. It's just mind-blowing still. And we've had so many years of this, and it's still so mind-blowing to me. So this was it, honey. I just saw this and you know, I would have voted for him anyway. But like, if you have a conscience, it just seems like you would say.
No, for sure. Yeah, so I think that this is my favorite ad besides Obama's ad. I think this is my favorite ad for sure. I think that he has credited, I don't want to use the word credited because that isn't like a positive thing, but I don't know what word to use. He credits what happened in Charlottesville as the determining factor in him deciding to run for president in 2020. So it makes a lot of sense for him to center that pivotal moment in American history as the way that he launches his campaign against Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And especially here, he did his op-ed where he says we are living through a battle for the soul of this nation. He reminds people that he said that, right? He puts it on the screen. And like you said, the visuals were very important reminder, a very important reminder of what actually transpired. And you have him discussing that the president, in his own words, said there are very fine people on both sides. It is important to remind people of that. It is important to remind people that this is what our president said about what happened in Charlottesville. A terrorist, I don't want to say attack, but neo-Nazi terrorists are walking through the streets of Charlottesville, Virginia. And it was just like, the president was like, oh, okay, like,
just they did.
There are fine people on both sides. Not that big of a deal. And someone got killed, and he reminded people about that too. He like we cannot forget that Trump literally was like, whatever. There are fine people on both sides. There are some fine people. There are some fine people on both sides. Whatever. It's not that serious. Like, it's not that serious. That's basically how Trump treated what happened in Charlottesville in 2017. I also agree that it makes me a little sad seeing Biden here, considering where he is now. I'm someone that's been pretty critical of Biden post presidency. Not during his presidency. I think he had an incredible administration. I think that it was a very historic presidency for everything that he accomplished in just one term. So I will never take that away from him. I will never take away his politics and policy. And honestly, I think this was a good reminder for me, like, because I'm just thinking about post 2024 and his horrific decision to run for re-election and how that basically got us Trump, in my opinion, that, Kamala Harris did not have a fair chance of running for president because she only had 107 days. So I can't lie, I did also have those thoughts in my head, like, wow, like, this was really 6 years ago or probably 7 years ago for this ad. And he was a completely different person. And even though he looks old here, can't lie, he had energy. He was passionate. He was passionate about this issue of his passion. It was like, we are not going to let this slide. I'm running for president to combat everything that President Trump has done in the past 4 years. And you see in his face that he means everything he says, kind of like what you said, like you believe what he says because his sternness, his, the impact of his words kind of mean more because of the way he delivers it with such passion. So, and that's a very different Biden than what we see now. And it's sad. And I did have those thoughts as well, because there's no way that Biden could have an ad like this if he was still like in office or whatever, because he just has aged and he unfortunately has stage 4 cancer. It's just like a bunch of things. So, seeing a younger form of Biden is definitely like a reminder of who he was before. I think that it was an important reminder for me, like, I guess specifically because I have been critical of Biden since 2024. But I think that this was a very impactful ad. I did have one question I want to pose to you both, because I know you both had an issue with Hillary, her ad in 2008, and it kind of being an attack on her opponent, which I'm assuming she was mainly talking about Bush. But did you feel that same way, that this was an attack ad, or do you think, like what you said, like it was just all facts, like it was something that needed to be said, even though it's technically an attack on Trump, like it still was like necessary and important to like say?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, it was just facts. It wasn't an attack. It was just reiterating what has been going on so that you do not forget. I want it at the front part of your, frontal lobe.
Yeah.
I want you to remember what we went through, what we're going through.
Yeah.
And I am here to help us get out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I understand. What about you?
I agree. I feel like, no, he recited
just what he said,
what happened. And I mean, everything was factual. He didn't even mention the name of the president.
No, he didn't.
So he did. He kept it as.
But we all knew who he was talking
about. Of course. But I mean, it showed that he literally was just reminding us of the facts and saying his position on what has been happening, and I thought it was And I mean, for him to go through history like that,
that's what I was saying. Like, I also really like this.
It was just, I mean,
part as well, going through history.
Whoever was behind this ad, I mean,
did a good job.
Stellar.
This was a good job. I actually think this is my favorite one. Besides, it probably my favorite one, like in a shorter form, right? But this was definitely up there for me.
Stellar.
So now we're gonna react to Bernie Sanders' ad in 2020 as well. I think that is a little bit of a different tone than 2016.
Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Free tuition, free college tuition, free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added, the greatest threat to national security is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Bernie Sanders has been consistent hammering about income inequality.
Nobody in America works 40 hours a week, should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign finance system which is corrupt.
Sanders leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. We are not going to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared to stand together, there is no end to what the great people of our nation can accomplish.
I actually think that was pretty powerful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. It was excellent.
You have any initial thoughts?
Yeah, you know, through the whole thing, I was in total agreement. I said,
Yes.
but who's going to pay for it? Because
True.
I'm not. I mean, you know what? Ideally, you know,
Facts.
who can
for sure.
say it, like, I don't know, ideally, who can go against with that ad just saying,
Yeah, right,
who could oppose all these things?
Right.
No, for sure. Ideally, yeah.
But, you know, I just don't, like, I don't know how we pay for that. So, you know, in a capitalist society, like, how do you pay for that?
Sure.
So, you know, for me, I wish there was a way to have this world that Bernie just, you know, described.
Yeah.
But people like me, we feel like I pay enough taxes. So I'm trying to figure out who's going to pay for it. Because see, I'm going to need a job at McDonald's messing with Bernie.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, I get that, but I would have voted for this. Although, like you say, realistically, like, could it happen? I would be riding on the hope that it would happen. Yeah, because I mean, he really did give a good.
He did. That's a beautiful world right there.
And I think, yeah,
It's not capitalism though.
Right, but I would have.
As a democratic socialist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would, and hey, I'm a socialist. I love it. And I believe, so I would have been on his side. I would have been signing up to help to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
And we'd have been on opposite sides.
Yeah,
my
we-
sister and I.
Who's gonna pay mine?
Who's gonna pay for it?
I agree. I agree with both points. With the ad itself, I actually think that it was really good. And in some ways, it was better than Joe Biden's. In some ways. Because Bernie laid out how he has impacted policy.
Yes.
He laid it out. You saw the news article headlines with this happened in 20 states. Amazon did this, did that. All of this happened after he ran in 2016, which kind of paved the way for people to think differently in the Democratic Party and the rise of Democratic Socialists or the rise of more progressive candidates. So it showed in actuality what he has done, even though he hasn't been president. Even though he has not been president, it showed his national impact on policy and politics, which I think was really strong. Whether you agree with what you said, you can even say who's going to pay for it, but you can't deny that he laid out everything that he will continue to do if elected president, and the things that he actually has accomplished through his impact. So I actually think, and I have to give him some props. I think someone told him after 2016 to more black people. And at first, I couldn't relate to it. It just wasn't. I just couldn't feel like that, I saw way more black people, and I like that it went through his history, fighting for civil rights and all of that. And you have black people in the classroom. He talked about mass incarceration. He talked about women's rights. He talked about immigration. He talked about minimum wage. All of this in 2 minutes. Like he kind of talked about a lot in 2 minutes. And and these are all things that he has really still is very involved in. He still to this day with the candidates that he endorses in the midterms and who he ultimately endorses in 2028, because I don't see him running for president, but people are even still talking about him running for president in 2028 because of his impact. And this shows the impact that he had, even especially after 2016, the impact that he had on the nation and on policy. Whether you agree with it or not, I think it was impactful. In some ways, it was better than Biden's. I think that Biden's was just really necessary still. His was still very necessary. I will never take it away from him. But like I said, this does more of an introduction into Bernie Sanders more so than Biden did. It kind of, Biden also assumes they know who he is and all of that. This does a mini introduction to Bernie, where he's joined the fight. This is what he's been fighting for all these years, since 1963 when he was getting arrested and all that stuff. This is what I will continue to do if I'm president. So honestly, I think that the two ads we are reacting to from 2020 were the best ads, in my opinion, because I think both Joe Biden's and Bernie Sanders were good in different ways. I can't even say that one's better than the other, but I think that
apples and oranges for me.
I think that is apples
and
oranges.
But with him, I would join the fight.
And you know what? And I like the language, join the fight. So
join the fight.
It talks or speaks to his grassroots and very foundational type of platform. It's very grassroots. It's very grassroots, and it's very it puts you in the mind of unions and people who fight for the rights of the little people. And that is what that's his whole platform. And you know what, and what he did that was smart as well was he talked about his going after the big business. Right, like Amazon and Disney, the $1 trillion businesses versus, but he doesn't, and it was strategy because he doesn't talk about how it impacts middle America and small businesses that are the backbone of this country, who he will probably bankrupt with his policies, but but he showed you, see, this is how you get, this is the propaganda, this is how you get people to sign up for what you're selling or buying what you're selling, because you're only giving the positive stuff. It was great that you went after Amazon, it was great that you went after Disney, but what about the corner store that you're gonna bankrupt? So that's what you that's your strategy. That's how you win elections. So he did a good job at that. Now, if you go down the rabbit hole and start realizing how his policies are going to impact other people like you and your business, then you'll say, maybe I'm not going to join the fight because I'm going to be working for nothing. I don't know. I'm not so sure. So he did a great job. His messaging and all that was in, his policies are all laid out. And what he did is great in this ad is what I talked about in Hillary's ad, and that what she did not do. She did not talk about any policy. She just kind of put people out there and didn't show how her policies were going to impact them in any way. So they did all the things that I had a problem with that they didn't do in Hillary's ad.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, I let me just finish with I still believe the slogan "Join the fight," because what it's telling you is that it will be a fight.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, the companies are not going to go lightly and be like, "Sure, we'll give you this." You know,
right.
As
it will
me
actually
being
be a
small
fight.
business owner, like I may have to, hey, but I think that you have to be willing to sacrifice a little from yourself for the betterment of everything. So again, you have to be that person who is willing to join the fight, because it will be a fight. Everything is not going to right. Yeah. So I like that.
Yeah. So we have one more ad we're gonna watch. It is Miss Kamala Harris.
Oh.
Her ad in 2024. Okay. The ad. I remember where I was, y'all. I remember where I was. I remember where I was. I was just shot, y'all, on the couch. I was just shocked, like, Biden, why did you do this to us? Why did you do this to us? Why are you dropping out the race? But I'm like, this is what he should be doing. But it's like, bro, now what are we gonna do? And then he like later endorses Kamala. I'm like, okay. She comes out with this ad. I'm like, yeah. I'm sorry. I love the ad. But I like, real talk, I love the ad, but I want to get your thoughts as well. And I want to see if you remember that, because it had like freedom with Beyonce and all that. So let's see.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom.
Freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too.
The freedom not just to get by, but get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions about your own body. We choose a future where no child lives in poverty, where we can all afford health care, where no one is above the law. We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win. So join us. Go to KamalaHarris.com and let's get to work.
I'ma keep on running, 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves.
So the way she had to get that together very fast, they had to get this ad together because of the last minute changes and everything that transpired in 2024. So what are your thoughts on this ad?
The first thing I thought was she kept saying we. And in my head the entire time, I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah, we, us.
Yeah.
So it made it feel very inclusive, you know, very, very, she included me in that.
Yeah.
And every sentence I was agreeing with it, like, yep, I do. That is me. That is me. It is us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love, of course, the diversity of the whole campaign. And again, same thing with Biden. It was facts. Those articles there where it was not AI, it was actual.
That's also his mugshot.
Yep, that
not
was
fake,
actual
real
articles. So it wasn't a slander campaign. It was just, I'm just speaking the facts.
This is the truth. This is the real truth.
I loved it.
Yeah. What about you?
I thought it was a great, I mean, especially with the turnaround time that they had, I really feel like it got me excited, and that's what we needed. We needed to come off of
the depression.
off the starting line running. We needed to be in the sprint because she only had sprint time. So we needed definitely for us to get a bunch of exciting things, like feelings and emotions, because we had to dig in quick.
We did.
We had to dig in quick.
We did.
You know, unfortunately, we didn't have enough time, but if we did. She knew that country had to get on board.
Yeah.
Fast.
This was literally crunch time.
Right. I mean, yes. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and what I liked about it, obviously I love the visuals. I love the visuals. I have said 20 billion times, I love when ads are when it's set in a rally. And I really think that you felt the energy in the crowd. You felt the energy, you saw the diversity, you really saw the diversity here in age, in gender, in racial background and demographic. And so you have families, you have, and then she lays out like just a few, obviously you can't go through everything, but a few of her pivotal platform points: reproductive care, gun control. What was the other thing that she said? I think she says, and we are going to make sure that our kids are not living in poverty. So she laid out just a few points, making sure no one's above the law. That was something that she said. She laid out like policy in a general sense to get people excited, because this really was just to get people excited about her campaign, because it was literally 107 days away from election day. So it was very much crunch time. I like that I had Black students in the audience. You have older people, younger people.
They had small businesses.
Yeah, small businesses. I mean,
promise of a.
You really have like everything in this ad. And obviously I'm a Kamala fan, so I'm a huge Kamala fan. But I genuinely think that this was a good ad, especially for what the purpose was, which was to get people excited for a new candidate, to get the Democratic Party excited for her, because there was not going to be a primary. There wasn't going to be, there was no other choice. Like,
all the build up.
Right. There was genuinely no other choice. She was going to be the nominee and less than a month away from when this ad was launched. So like, we need to get excited for what she has in store for her. We, get on board. And obviously partnering with Beyonce with Freedom, I think that was a very pivotal message. Freedom, especially with President Trump being her opponent and, taking away our freedoms actively. And, that was his goal during his 2024 campaign. And it was important also the message that she brought up, which this was shortly after, I want to say shortly, but 2 years after the reversal of Roe v. Wade. That's why she brought up reproductive rights. This was also a, gun and mass shootings during this time. It was very, very heavy. So bringing up that, so I think that it was very intentional what she chose to bring up in this, because it was just so in the heat of the moment how we were feeling.
And also it also points to the differences between her and President Trump. Because it was they're polar opposites on these particular issues. So just letting people know, letting people know where she stood on these things, because we hadn't heard from her. Vice president is kind of like, I mean, they do stuff, but it's kind of like, we don't know. It's not their policies that drive the agenda. It's the president. So it was the first time she kind of let the American people know these are the things that are important to me. I know that I'm the vice president. You're assuming that I may have the same agenda as the president, but I don't. Or I do. But these are the things that I stand
the most
for.
important to me.
And so she did. She put her platform front and center in this ad. She gave us the diversity of community and the people that she represents. Anytime you put Beyonce in the background, that brings a whole group of people. So it was well done.
Very well done.
Very well done.
Very well done. And one thing, what you made me remember is one of the few things that I want to say one of the few things, because I don't think it was like her choice to not really be out there as much as I would have wanted her to be as vice president. I don't think it was her choice. But one of the things that she really was out there on and did like a tour around the country was discussing reproductive rights, especially after Roe v. Wade was overturned. So, it reminds people also, okay, did we see that much of Vice President Harris? Not as much as we would have liked, but reproductive rights. I remember that this is what she did when she went to my state and discussed the importance of reproductive care and all that. So I think there was a lot of strategy behind it, but also just a lot of energy. And I thought it was good. I'm sorry. I remember watching this ad. I was like,
I like this.
And not to mention, I think it was like literally this night that it was the Women with Black Women Zoom with how many Black women were on the Zoom? Oh my gosh, I literally don't remember. It was like historic though. I forget what it was.
Yes.
I literally forget. But y'all know what I'm talking about. The historic Women with Black Women Zoom, and then it translated to Women with Black Men, and then Women with White Men, and Women with White Women, Women with Latino men, Latino women. It was like a whole thing. So yes, I think that she did a good job of bringing the energy to the campaign. And now we're sad because she should have been our president.
Yes, because I'm just like, if she'd have had more time, when you think about how many people, and I can't think of the number of people that were on those Zoom calls, but I mean, the way we just jumped on board and donated that money, and it was just like amazing.
So amazing.
And it was just like, but she just didn't have enough time.
She didn't have enough time. Unfortunately,
she didn't have enough time, y'all, and that's why you're still so angry at.
I am angry at Biden. I am.
I try to get her to not be so angry.
I am so angry.
She is so angry.
I'm like, this is literally so.
Because we didn't have to be here.
We did not have to be here.
We could be in a different place, but it is what it is.
Oh, thank you both so much. This was a lot of fun. I really, really, really enjoyed doing this. I think this was a fun walk down memory lane of the different Democratic candidates. Of course, soon there will be candidates that are going to be announced early next year for 2028 for a presidential election. Right, I know. So that's coming. I mean, that's sooner rather than later. It's August, and normally people start announcing their candidacy like early 2027. So it's really coming up soon. So yeah, we're gonna see who comes up and who, impresses us. So thank you so much for joining me today. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Power, Policy, and Progress with Madison Maynard. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. It was a lot of fun. Please be sure to tune in on Thursday. We'll be back with more political news, analysis, and conversations with my dog Coco, who's barking, about the issues shaping our country. In the meantime, make sure you follow me on Instagram, TikTok for online content. If you're watching on YouTube, it is important to like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. That's very important. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, subscribe, follow, and rate the podcast 5 stars, preferably, to show your support, and join in on the conversation. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's topics. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for listening. I'm Madison Maynard, and you're listening to Power, Policy, and Progress. I'll see you next time.